Welcome back to the All Ball Podcast, where it is all ball all the time. You are here with your host, Sean and Isaiah. This is episode number 51, and today Isaiah is going to ask me a question. He really hasn't described it to me. He kind of has, but he's going to go with it. And then we're going to be talking about the outlook for the 76ers after signing James Harden to a little bit more team-friendly deal. But before all that, as always, the question of the day. Isaiah, how you feeling today, man?
Man, this question's burning inside me, so I want to just jump right into it.
All right, let's get into it, man.
Okay. So to preface the question, a lot of people, whether it be players themselves, some people in the media, and then a ton of fans, a lot of people believe that NBA players have the ultimate say-so on anything related to basketball. And so my question to you is that, do you believe that just because someone played in the NBA that they have the ultimate say-so on anything related to basketball? And my example for that, before you answer, is we have cases like Andre Iguodala saying that Rasheed Wallace would be a better player now than Giannis.
So my answer is going to be yes and no, and I have an explanation for both sides.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and start with my yes. For one, they obviously have basketball experience. They're basketball players. They know what goes into, training for a whole season, training for their whole career, however long they play in the league. They know what, in-game experience is like. They know what it is to travel city to city and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they also get a better overall look of the players around them, if that's what you're kind of going at too, like kind of how they gauge other players versus how we gauge other players.
Mm-hmm.
And my no for the answer is I think they can be pretty biased. Obviously, a guy like James Harden, right? He's not going to go out and really give his props to a guy like Giannis because of their past beef.
Mm-hmm.
Or another reason why is because, well, really the main reason is, like favoritism. I think that's the main reason why I could say no.
Okay.
And I want to know your answer on it too.
So my answer is no. And it's no, but it depends on the player, because there are some players where the answer is yes. But for the most part, the answer is no, because there are a lot of guys in the NBA who, for one, they, like you said, because of favoritism, they have their friends, teammates that were really close to them and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
They won't say what they truly believe because they'd rather, just prop up the guy that's on their team. And then even for people who are former players, not in the league anymore, a lot of them, they're more biased to players who are more reminiscent of the era that they may have played in, or they may not like XY player because that player may have knocked them out of the playoffs one year, so they have a beef against them. And so there are way too many personal biases that can go into the fact that they played against these players, or they've played at that level and they don't like the way that someone else is playing at that level, regardless of if they're succeeding or not.
I honestly think it can even go further than just players from different teams. I think it could be also just biases to other franchises.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember seeing a interview with Draymond Green, and the interviewer was asking Draymond Green whether he believed that the Rockets could actually beat them back, when they had their whole big rivalry.
Uh-huh.
And He said, absolutely not. And he was like laughing about it. When we had them 3-2, and we were, a couple 3-pointers away from, and a hamstring away from going to the finals.
Exactly.
I also think that, like, it's also hard to say no, because you also have people on the outside who are like, and I'm just going to use this example, Stephen A. Smith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who has some ridiculous takes. Max Kellerman, who has ridiculous takes. And these people have the bigger platforms, and they kind of push that to people like us. And yes, we have our own opinions, but, it gets kind of pushed to us, and we kind of have their opinions when their opinions are bad too.
You see, but that's where I like to say that the answer is not us either. Nobody has a supreme, not universally, but undebatably correct opinion on who is better until you have to gauge it amongst various groups. You can't just say, oh, well, he played in the NBA, so he knows more than you. It's like, okay, but we're talking about, again, with my same example, Andre Iguodala believes that Rasheed Wallace would be better than Giannis. And first of all, at that, he said more specifically that Rasheed Wallace would be a top 5 player and would be better than Giannis, which Giannis is already, in our opinion, the best player in the world right now. So not only is Iguodala saying that Rasheed Wallace would be better than Giannis, but he's also saying that Giannis isn't top 5 or is barely top 5.
In all honesty, I think whatever era Giannis plays in, I think he's top 10 at every single year.
Exactly. And then we take that, and Rasheed Wallace, if I remember correctly, never been an all-NBA player, versus Giannis, who has been all-NBA first team 4 years in a row now, actually.
Yeah, so I'm still stuck in the middle. I don't think I can lead one way or, with yes or no, where I know you side more with no.
Yeah, my answer is no, but it depends on the player, because there are some players who aren't overly biased, or they just, aren't stupid, to keep it simple.
Yeah, I get you. Was there anything else, like, more to that question that you wanted to ask me about?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead and transition to our next topic, which was the 76ers finally, well, they had agreed to a deal, I'm sure, before they actually signed the deal, but they have confirmed they have signed the deal with James Harden, a more team-friendly deal. What are your outlooks for the 76ers? What are your outlooks for James Harden and Embiid duo for a full season?
First and foremost, I would just like to say, man, everybody, welcome your Philadelphia Rockets, because that is what this team has turned into. James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Daniel House. Wow.
Yeah, they're really trying to get the whole squad back together. They got to get Trevor Ariza out there too, just so he can miss all those threes.
Oh man, it's like, yeah, get Trevor Ariza. You know what? While we're at it, let's get Patrick Beverley too. Why not?
Trade for Eric Gordon. But yeah. So what are your outlooks for all those three?
Man, well, for those three specifically, I'll say Harden, I expect him to be better than he was last year. He should have had more time to recover from whatever injury was nagging. So I expect him to have a better year, but I don't expect him to necessarily go back to, quote, his normal. I think that those Rockets level games they're just behind him now. I really don't see that happening much, especially with the fact that Embiid is obviously the better player of the two now. So
Mm-hmm.
I think without a doubt, he still is playing more like he did or like in his early time in Brooklyn before the injury started hitting him.
Mm-hmm.
And then as for PJ Tucker and Daniel House, I expect a lot less out of Daniel House than I expect out of PJ Tucker. So I'm not really going to even talk about him. I expect him to hit some shots. That's about it.
Yeah, I
PJ
mean,
Tucker. Oh, okay, hold on. PJ Tucker, we know what he does. He shoots those corner threes. He plays great defense. That's all I'm expecting out of him.
mm-hmm. I agree with you, especially with the PJ Tucker and Daniel House thing. I mean, Daniel House is a decent 3-point shooter and a all right perimeter defender. He can get, maybe about anywhere from 14 to 18 minutes a game, and I think that'll be fine. PJ Tucker, I expect to get more than that. Obviously, like you said, he's a great defender and can hit the corner three really well. But also, he's almost 30? Like, he's 37 now, right?
Listen, he's 37, but he was 36 last season, and he didn't slow down a bit. So I don't know. I think we can expect him to at least do something similar to what he did this past season.
Well, I think the production will still mostly be there, especially like on the defensive level. But just how much of it because of like minutes wise.
Yeah.
But for James Harden and Embiid together, do you think James Harden, with his playmaking ability, can get Embiid over the hump for the MVP?
I think it's very doable. And it absolutely depends on two factors. One, Embiid's own health, and two, obviously how well the Sixers team performs compared to other teams in the East.
Mm-hmm. I think it is very much doable because we saw Embiid be a top 3 MVP candidate for almost the whole year, all of last year. And I think now with the full season of James Harden's playmaking, a better Tyrese Maxey, hopefully at least somewhat of any kind of improved Tobias Harris, if he can be any better than what he was, and improving Matisse Thybulle, just all of that. And then with PJ Tucker and being added to the group, I think that he has a better team surrounding him now.
That's very true. That's very true. Especially with, assuming here, like you said, healthy Harden for the full season, Tyrese Maxey making some kind of significant improvement, a better Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker. That, assuming that something of some arrangement of those four will be the starting lineup with him. Yeah, that's a much improved starting lineup.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that they could trade Tobias Harris before the season starts, or do you think that's more of a in-season type of trade, or do you not think they even trade him at all?
I don't think they're necessarily looking to trade him, but I absolutely believe that if they do end up doing so, it has to be during the season, especially considering that last year was more of a down year compared to some of his other years here in Philly, and especially that season he got traded mid-season. So, yeah, I think without a doubt that's a move that has to happen mid-season so that teams know what they're going to get out of him.
Right. What do you realistically think that they could get for Tobias Harris?
I really, okay, let me clarify what I absolutely believe they won't get for Tobias Harris. They won't get a promising young player. They might get a decent young player, but no promising young players. They won't get any high picks.
Mm-hmm.
They probably won't get multiple picks. And I don't see them getting back any player that is near all-star level.
Mm-hmm. I think that they could go for someone who's and it's not obviously like this player specifically, but around this person's level. But the first person that came to my head was like a Bobby Portis level of player.
Ooh,
Maybe they have to throw in like a couple seconds or something. But
Bobby, there's no way Milwaukee's
you don't.
trading
No, no,
Bobby.
no, no, no. Like I said, that's exactly what I
Oh,
said.
okay.
Specifically, not this player,
Okay.
but on this person's type of level.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, in that case, I can see it then. I can see it.
Right.
Someone who's a really good contributor, but just, isn't that next step up.
Right. Maybe like a Harrison Barnes if they throw
Okay.
in 2 picks because, Toby's contract.
Yeah. And then Harrison Barnes is on the Kings, right? So
I think he still is on the Kings yet.
Yeah, he never left. So yeah, he's still on the Kings. So the Kings would definitely want more picks out of that than just getting Tobias by himself.
Exactly. So I think something around that level, like a Harrison Barnes, Bobby Portis, how can you say, serviceable starter type of player, or someone who's be a really good bench player. But yes, that's my outlook for the 76ers. And one last question for, the whole 76ers organization. Around what seed do you believe they'll finish at this season?
Okay, let's see. I think that they finish somewhere around 3rd to 6th, somewhere in that range. If you ask me to pick one seed specifically, then I'll say 4th.
Okay. I was actually going to go 3rd seed, so we're pretty much on the same page.
Okay.
1 or 2 seeds, give or take. Like I think you said, though, a big emphasis on the health of the entire team.
Exactly.
But that's it for that, at least for me. Was there any other questions for you about the 76ers or just anything in general before we go ahead and wrap things up?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, that's going to be the end of the episode. If you like the episode, go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Isaiah, any last comments?
And don't forget, share the podcast with as many people as you can.
We will catch you on the next episode.